Hey everybody, just wanted to do a video. I don't know, it won't be too long, it'll be a little quick, but I just wanted to talk about the healthcare situation. Not necessarily the healthcare that is being, well, I'll even speak on that. I'll just speak healthcare in general. We have a lot of people who are advocating, sorry, I'm out in the living room, advocating for better healthcare, free healthcare, cheaper healthcare, healthcare in general, which, listen, nobody wants things cheaper than Shane and I do. We have been paying dearly, just like the rest of you guys, over the last 5 years now for groceries and gas. I sold my truck, my motorcycle, thinking I would need surgery, which I'll get into for my shoulder here, and all those things to cut back on expenses. And it seems once we eliminate something, an expense, another one doubles. So you guys are not the only ones. A lot of my tenants who are even wealthy, like they make good money, they are struggling also. So everyone is struggling. And it didn't just start since Trump took over. It's been brewing since COVID, actually. Things have been out of control. But today I want to talk about the healthcare part of it, though. So Shane and I, we do have good healthcare now through our employer. But there was a time when we were self-employed, and we did not have the ability to really pay large amounts of money for insurance for our employees or ourselves. So we were on the Obamacare. We were on the assistance healthcare, whatever you want to call that, Medicaid. And I will tell you, in hindsight, now that I have excellent insurance and now that I have that, and I was on the other one, so I have a contrast. Back in the day, the care you receive on Medicaid is nothing like the care you receive when it comes to like good insurance. And even that, I'm going to get to that here real quick too. But yeah, I look back like the way I was treated at Hershey Med, and even at the dentist and the denture place, stuff like that, like on Medicaid, whatever, just you'll do this and that, and we'll put you on crap, and then crap will do this, what your insurance covers. And I got a pair of dentures that looked like Billy Bob false teeth bought at a Halloween store, and I was like, oh my God. They're like, no, that's what you get. Like, that's what you get. And I'm like, what is going on, bro? But I took it, and I wore them. I do what I got to do, and it is what it is, man. Like, what are you going to do when you're in that situation? Fast forward. So we do have healthcare now. I think our plan is Aetna. And last year, I began to feel a flare, a Crohn's flare. And, yeah, man. Like, it was during the hurricanes. There was a lot of stress going on, and I felt it coming on. I had a doctor's appointment. It was already pre-set up. So he ran some testing, blood work, and imaging of my small intestine where my Crohn's disease was. And the blood work came back good, with the exception of, the blood work was actually good. There was a stool sample for calprotectin, which 129 or lower is normal. Mine was 627, so it was higher. They did the imaging. It showed multiple areas of stricture, which is where your intestines are closing. Not completely closed, but they were narrowed. Showed a new fistula in an area, and I remember getting that actually when we went over to Cocoa Beach during Milton. My fever went real high. I felt terrible. Thought I was going to have to go to the hospital. Prayed, wrote it out, and that's where that came from, because I remember what they feel like. The other ones that I had, apparently they're healed now from the Humira. that I was on at the time. But anyhow, so it showed a lot of that, and it showed that the inflammation in my intestine was high. But the blood work for the Humira showed normal, like there were normal levels and there were no antibodies. So my doctor's like, I don't know, like, let's just keep going with Humira. We'll see what goes on. Now, we went back and forth for a couple months. I was like, do you think I need to change medicine? I go, no, I don't know. Well, fast forward. This is just the Crohn's situation. Fast forward to this year. He referred me to a specialist over at USF. And the USF guy looks at my blood work and imaging from last year, and he's like, he didn't change your medicine? And I was like, no, we talked about it, but he didn't want to do anything. Let's get imaging. Let's get blood work. So I got my blood work back, showed I was low in iron, so I started taking my iron. And then my stool sample, the calprotectin went to 813. So it went up nearly 200 points. So remember, normal was 129. It was 627. Now it's 813. So I didn't expect the imaging to be any better than it was last year. And it wasn't. So I got the imaging back and shows all of the same stuff plus some. There was actually, it said a linear metallic image stuck in some stool. I must have passed that, though. I have no idea how I got a piece of metal, but it must have been tinfoil or something off my yogurt or whatever. But it also showed that the disease, the inflammation, has spread into my colon with colitis. You know, it's just Crohn's and colitis, but it's never been there. So basically, for the year, my insurance, I was taking a medication that was not working that cost $14,000 a month, and it was just getting worse, my disease. Thank God, though, it could have been way, way worse. I think the Lord really intervened in that situation because it was not a stress-free year, and by all accounts, it could have been really bad. So tomorrow, after last 2 weeks ago, was my last injection after 5 years of weekly injections of Humira. I'm finally done injecting that into my stomach. So now I'm starting Rinvoq tomorrow. It's a daily pill. It is half the price. It's $7,000 a month. And I have good feelings about the current doctor, and this current therapy, this drug. But anyhow, so that is going, the contrast to healthcare. Like this guy, a specialist, which I could have never had an additional specialist on top of one if I didn't have good healthcare, like didn't have good health insurance, at least the way the system's set up. So let's go to my shoulder. So early in the spring, I had terrible shoulder pain, couldn't move my arm. I knew I had an injury. I didn't know if it was my rotator cuff, if it was my bicep tendon, because it hurt up at the top of my bicep. I had imaging. Turns out it was both. Partial tear in my rotator cuff, partial tear in my bicep tendon, and it became frozen encapsulitis is what its technical term, but frozen shoulder. I couldn't even move it. My family doctor at the time was a knucklehead. They were like, maybe you're constipated, get a colonoscopy. I'm not exaggerating. When I called and was telling him about my arm, I can't move, my blood pressure was up. They did give me blood pressure medicine, but he's like, maybe you need a colonoscopy. I'm like, man, this guy, I ain't even in the mood anymore with these people. And it got worse. They lost some of my blood work. They were harassing me about stuff. But the good part was they finally got the imaging done to show the partial tear, to show the encapsulitis, and to show the partial tear in the bicep tendon. So I had that imaging done at Baycare, which is right up the street here, because it's close to the house. And I was like, I'll just go there. And my insurance, they take my insurance. Man, what a blessing that was that God had sent me to that place. Because not only is the imaging good, but their ortho doctor upstairs is Dr. Kevin Elder. You guys probably don't recognize the name, but he was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sports doctor, the ortho doctor, for at least like 5 years or something. I'm going to do another post eventually. I go see him Wednesday, I think, for my last one. But I was like, man, he said, yep, this is pretty rough, but if you trust me, I can get you better in a lot quicker time. And I was like, dude, I'll do anything at this point. So he did I forget what it's called, but they stick a needle through the back of your shoulder, put fluid in, and pop it loose instead of the cortisone, and they manually break it, or they put you out and they manually break it loose. That's terrible. It's like, he said he'd never do that to anybody because it's like primitive and not good at all. But it's oh my God, I forget what it's called, but look it up. Just put breaking loose frozen shoulder with a needle and using fluid. Very easy. And so that broke that loose. And he said, I want to send you to, it was like 10 sessions of physical therapy to get that moving. And then I want to do something that's called PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma. So they take your blood, they draw 50 milliliters, which to me looked like a gallon when they were taking it. But they take your blood, spin it in a centrifuge, separate it, the red cells and all the junk, and then the white cells, the plasma, all the healing stuff. And then they take the healing stuff, put it in a syringe, and then they inject it into the tear areas. And what it does is it supercharges that healing to the wound and to the injury. And real simple procedure. And anyhow, it supercharges the healing. It's the white blood cells. It's all the good stuff right into the tears. It fills that area with that blood, and then it draws the healing. The only problem is insurance does not cover it, and the FDA does not approve of it. So I started doing some research, thinking, well, maybe it's too new. Maybe, I don't know what it is. So come to find out that they discovered this back in like 1954, and it worked. It worked so good that they couldn't afford to do it because it didn't make them any money. And then in the 70s, they brought it back again, I guess for people, military people or something. Military used it, and it worked. So they had to hide it again till the sports teams, and they started signing these big contracts in the 2000s here. And they were like, man, we can't afford to have our quarterback down for 2 seasons because we cut everything and did all that. So they started using it in the sports teams, and that's where he found this out. And the shot was just it was $750. That procedure had to be cash. Luckily, our insurance, we have like a health savings account, so we had that in there that we could use. So it didn't cost me anything out of my pocket. But needless to say, like, my shoulder is on the mend, and it really got me thinking. I'm like, because nobody makes money off of it, it's not approved. It's just like the rest of the nonsense. So I say this. I'm going to finish on this. I want to do it 15 minutes. That's it. I want to finish with this. Everybody who's advocating, I want the government to give me free this and tell me what to do with my shoulder, my body, my health, that is not always the best choice, because it seems that the government is just people like you and I, a fallen nature, and we have ulterior motives. No one does anything for free. Everyone's trying to get rich. And when you have somebody in charge of your well-being that does not care about your well-being, things can go completely crappy and go sideways. So I can speak on healthcare and insurance because I've been on both sides of it, the free and the pay for. And I've also had FDA approved stuff, and I've had non-FDA approved stuff. And the non-FDA approved stuff for my shoulder, at least, is working really well. So don't just jump into the propaganda and the bandwagon because something free sounds good, or if you're on the other side, like they don't deserve free. we do need to change. We need something. But as long as it's run by human beings that have greed and fallen nature, I'm not holding my breath. Be your own advocate when it comes to your health, and really, make the right decision. Talk to other people. Don't just trust that somebody has your best to your well-being or your best in their eyes. Like, oh, I want the best for you, because it doesn't always happen. All right, guys, I went a little bit over, but hopefully that gives you a little insight. All right, peace.